Hi, welcome to Aja Coding Tutor. So now we are going to develop the Spring Boot project. Using Spring Boot project, we can try to perform CRUD operations. Once we are talking about CRUD operation, it means that we can store the data in the database, we can retrieve the data from the database, and even we can try to delete the record from the database using a student ID. And we can try to perform update operations using a student ID. And these are the operations what I'm going to perform in this video. Step-by-step process to develop student management application. When I'm trying to developing the application, this is architecture what I'm trying to following. Just let me try to show you guys. Look at here, controllers, services, repositories, database. Controllers we can call as the API layer. And using what is the use of API layer? Using this API layer, we can take the data from the client and we can process the data to service layer. Service layer, we can perform business logic. And from the business, once you perform a business logic, business operations, we can send this information to database software. Now, here observe that the three different layers we are developing here. One is dev layer. Dev layer we can try to call as a persistent layer or persistent layer, and dev layer and repository layer. And using dev layer, we can try to store the information into the database. Now, what is the business logic? Is a business layer we can try to call as a service layer. In this service layer, we can perform business operations. Now, look at guys, API layer. And using API layer, we can capture the data coming from a client and process that information to business service layer or business layer. And from the service layer, we can try to take the help of repository layer interfaces. We can store the data in the database. To develop this application, I used technologies like Spring Boot, Spring Web, Spring DevTools, Actuators, and Spring Maven, and even Lombok and MySQL. And these are the different dependencies we are using to develop end-to-end project development. Let me try to show you step-by-step process how to design. Look at now here, these are the technologies: Spring Boot, Spring Data JPA, Spring Web, and DevTools, Lombok, MySQL, Spring Boot Actuator, Build Tools. Let me try to do this. So what are the operations we are performing here? So when I developing this application, especially my first application and my plan of action is the student management system. Using student management system, I want to store the data in the database, and what information I'm storing, that all that records I want to be fetched from the database and to display to a client. And even sometimes the client wants to know the specific student information. Yes, I can pass student ID, I can try to fetch the data from the database. Even I want to delete for a record, then I will pass a student ID, I can try to delete the record. These are the operations what I'm going to be perform in, especially in this project, in this small application development. The step by step, let me try to go for design guys. The first step, create a Spring Boot project, Spring Starter project. See, when you are designing this application guys, then we should be follow the steps here. What are the steps guys? Step 1, create a Spring Boot project and add the dependencies. Create Spring Boot project, add the dependencies. Let me try to do student management system. Just observe guys, just a small name, project name we are giving here. What is my project name? Student management system. Now, what type of build tool you are using? Gradle or Maven. Maven is a build tool, create a structure of Spring Boot application. Now, Java version you can try to use 11 or 21, 24. Best suggestion is 21 or 17. You can try to choose according to requirement. Now, so let me try to go use a group ID, com.aja com.azure. Right, let me try to create it. Here I can try to add my dev to dependencies. Let's try to add the dependencies here. Starter project dependencies. What are the dependencies I mentioned? Web. Look at here, Spring Web. Second one is JPA. Spring Data JPA. So using Spring Data JPA, we can try to interact with the database software to perform operations like insertion, updation, deletion, retrieval. These are the operations what we can try to perform using Spring Data JPA. Right. Next, MySQL. So which database you are using? MySQL. So let's try to use MySQL is a driver. MySQL database I want to connect it. For that we are trying to choosing MySQL driver. What is the next step? Spring Data JPA, MySQL driver, Spring Web. Next, Lombok. So what is the use of Lombok? Using a Lombok framework, we can generate setters and getters, set triplex methods and get triplex methods, and we can generate on runtime using a Lombok framework. Using a Lombok framework, we can generate setter methods and getter methods. Good. What is the next step? Lombok, JPA, MySQL driver, web, actuators. Look at now please. Spring Boot actuators. Right. Look at now actuators. Put the cursor here. Support a built-in endpoint that let you monitor and manage your application. So once we're adding actuators, we can try to know, we can monitor our application is working or we can monitor application is working or not. You can monitor and manage the application. If I say simply, manage and monitor your application. Right. So what are the technology I use, guys? Lombok, actuator, Spring Data JPA, MySQL driver, Spring Web. So here, Spring Boot version, you can use 3.5.4 or 3.4.8. Anything is fine for me. You can try to choose any one of this version. Next. Look at now, Spring start.spring.io. Let me finish. Structure is creating. Wait, the dependency is downloading from the internet, from my repository. It takes a few seconds time. Right, now look at guys. See, beautiful, right? Now look at here, my pom.xml file, project object model. Just wait, it's taking a few minutes time. It's open. Good. Now look at it, please. So actuator, Spring Data JPA, and web, MySQL, Lombok. Yes. If required, even we can try to add dependencies according to our requirement moving forward. Okay. So now let's try to go for to develop a step by step. What is the first step? Step number 1, create a Spring Boot project, add the dependencies. Step number 1, create a Spring Boot project, add the dependency. What are the dependencies we added now? The step 1. What are the dependencies? Spring Web, Spring Data JPE, Lombok, actuators. Next, even MySQL. Okay. Now, second step. In dot property file, we can specify configuration file. See guys, application dot property file. In this dot property file, what exactly we can try to specify? Configuration details. Look at now, Control plus is a shortcut key. Right. So database configurations. Database configurations. Database configuration. Okay. Spring dot data source dot driver class name. Which driver you are using? MySQL. What is that? MySQL driver class name. Wait 1 minute. Control space. Okay. Now spring dot data source dot URL. Spring dot data source dot URL. Now JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost next JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost 3306 and you can try to specify database name, schema name. So how to create a schema name here? Please just come open MySQL workbench. Let me open MySQL workbench. Okay. Now let me try to create, right click on this. Let me try to create a schema. How to create a schema? Right click on this. Create a schema. Now you can try to specify here Aja Coding Tutor. Just I'm giving my name. Right. Now let me look at here now. Refresh. Right. Good. The schema name, right? What is my schema name? Right. So let's try to specify here. Now just give me 1 minute. Right click on this project. Maven update a project. Right. See now com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Right. This is my class name. Driver class name. Let me try to specify here jdbc colon mysql colon localhost jdbc colon mysql colon and colon localhost. What is mean by host? Host indicating IP address or host name of a computer. So MySQL now is running in my system. So I'm giving local. I'm developing one application, right? Where exactly I'm developing application? The application where exactly is developed in that particular system itself, MySQL database is running. So I can try to call. I'm using localhost. Maybe in the next coming examples, I'll try to use AWS RDS service. In the moment, I'll try to specify AWS is provided endpoint URL to connect the RDS. Right. Now, let me try to go for next point. username. What is that? Username. Spring.datasource.username root. Spring.datasource.password. So my database username and my database password. Installation time, what the username you specified and put the username, and what password you specified, the password you can try to specify here. Spring.jpa dot hibernate.ddl.auto update. So what is the use of this one? Dynamically we can create tables. So if I'm using auto property, the dynamically here what is the DDL? Data definition language. If I'm using this property, yes, I can create dynamically a table in the database. If I use updates, if table is available in the database, it use a table. If table is not available, it's created table. So here in auto property, especially we are having four properties, are main properties. One is drop. Every time it will be drop the table what is available in the database. Now if I use a value by default, what is the property? By default property name is validate. Create or drop. Create hyphen drop, it means that we can create the table is dropping a table. All the operations it will be performed simultaneously. Better to use always update. Okay, so now database configuration, guys. In this example, just we are trying to using connecting to database software. For this reason, we are using class name, URL, username, password. These are the minimum operations we have to perform to connect with the database software. Guys, one more thing is, so Shiva, if I'm performing, I want to send emails, then email configuration had to be specified. If you are specifying, if you are working with Kafka or RabbitMQ, Kafka related configuration had to be specified. And if you are working with Zipkin, and yes, Zipkin related configuration will be specified. Right, now as per now in this example we are trying to use database configuration. So let me try to specify the class name, URL and username and password. What we specified here, the same operations is enough to perform this application. Okay, what is the next step? Step 1 is completed. Step 2 is also done. What is the first step? Once again recollect, guys. Create a Spring Boot project, add the dependency. Step 2 project, create the configuration file. Step 3, let's try to specify entity class. Class from.aja.entity. Now here I'm using student is my entity class. Right. Here, what are the properties we are specifying? Private int roll number. Next, private string first name. Variable name start with a small letter. If you have multiple words, first name start with a small, inner word start with a capital letter. Private string last name. Now private string email. Now mobile number. Right, private string address, private string gender. Guys, is it clear? First name, last name, email, mobile number, address and gender. If you want, you can try to choose like guardian phone number, contact number. Yes, we can specify different fields, guys. Now as per now, these are the fields what I'm choosing here. Next step, so at the rate of setter. What is the use of setter? It's generating setter methods. Let me show you, guys. Because we are using Lombok, right? Lombok is a framework we added a dependency. Lombok having a great capability generate dynamically setter methods. Look at now, if I use a setter as an annotation, then immediately observe that please expand here student class. Now, see now, setter methods. Guys, clear? Next, let me try to use getter methods. Setter and getter. Are you clear? Yes. Now I want to generate parameterized constructor. Now, no argument constructor. Please observe that. Yes, parameterized constructor. What about next step? Default constructor. Good. So in this class, what we did? Setter methods and getter methods and parameterized constructors and no argument based constructor. So I want to make this class as a entity class. Okay, entity. So what is the use of entity class? Entity class mapped to database table. Entity class mapped with database table. Now you can try to specify a table name. Sir, if I not specify the table name, what will happen? If I not specify the table name, class name only it choose as a table name. Class name only it choose as a table name. Okay, let me try to specify here student details like this. Is it clear? Yes. So this is the way you can try to specify. No, if you not specify the table name, the student, what is the name of class? Student. Student only act as a table name. Okay, nice. Let me specify my here. Yes, perfect. What about next step? So at the rate of ID, unique ID. So look at now, specify the primary key of an entity. Now here I can try to specify generated value. So strategy. So everyone knows this. What is why I'm using ID, why I'm using generated value, and why I specify strategy identity, and all these things we know already we discussed. Let me try to go for next step here. ID generated value. Okay. Next step. So column number. See, if you not specify a column name, then by default it entity class property only it choose as a property name, choose as a column name. Sorry. See, if you not specify the column name, by default it chooses entity class property name only column name like this. Let me show you then, guys. Column, then you can specify the name, then roll number like this. Is it clear? Yes. Now Shiva, I want to specify any like this. I don't want it. Then roll number only chooses a column name, no doubt. So what about first name, last name? The same story, sir. At the rate of column name, F name. Now let me try to focus. Column name, L name, at the rate of column name, email. Now at the rate of column then you can try to specify name, mobile number like this. Is it clear? Yes. Column name, address. That's it. So like this we can try to specify the column names. Right. So let's look at guys once again here, please. Entity class. Look at here now. Entity class. This class having a property name is called roll number, first name, last name, email, mobile number, address, and gender. So what are the annotations we use here? Setter, getter, all argument constructor, no argument constructor, at the rate of entity, at the rate of table. Is it clear? Right. Now it's generating setters and getters. Generating setter methods and getter methods. Perfect. Look at now. So why is generating setters and getters? Because of Lombok. Lombok is a framework. So sure, how you look at now, please. Lombok. See, project Lombok. Look at now. To generate a setters and getters, we can use Lombok framework. So you can download the jar file wherever you want, you can try to use it. Fine. Let me try to go for the next step. So after completing entity class, next step, repository. What is that? Repository. New. Repository is the interface what I'm choosing, guys. New interface. Student repository. Extending JPA repository. Finish. So let me try to use repo my package name. Yes. Okay. What is T here? Type. So let me use a student ID integer like this. So student. My entity class names are here. Entity class name now is a primary key ID type at the rate of repository. So what is the use of this student repository? So guys, JPA repository is an interface. It provides the operations like insertion, updation, deletion, retrieval. There's a predefined method support is trying to providing. Especially guys, Spring Data JPA is providing mainly two interfaces. One is code repository. Second one is JPA repository. Code repository is providing code operations like insertion, updation, deletion, retrieval. The predefined method support is providing. What is the use of JPA repository? And JPA repository extending JPA repository extending, look at now, list code repository, list paging and sorting repository. So if I click here, list paging and sorting repository, extending paging and sorting repository. Paging and sorting repository is performing pagination and sort operations, guys. Now JPA repository indirectly extending which repository? Paging and sorting repository. So once I use JPA repository, even I can try to perform paging and sorting operations. Along with this, even you can try to perform list code repository. Look at it means the code operations also. Look at now JPA repository extending list code repository interface, list code repository extending code repository, code repository extending repository. So code repository, when we are trying to talk about it, look at now save method to store the data in the database. Say all, find by ID, exist by ID, find all by ID, count. Like this, we have some predefined method support is available. Anyway, all these things we know already, just recapping only one more time. right? Guys, very simple, understand? So what I'm trying to perform, what is the use of this interface, guys? Using this interface, yes, we can try to store the data in the database, we can retrieve, we can perform updations, deletion, all these operations we can try to perform it. Simple. Next step. What is the next step, please? Once again, recollect, guys. Step 1, create a Spring Boot project, add the dependencies. Second step, second step, configuration file. Third step, entity class. Fourth step, repository. What about fifth step? So let me choose a DTO, data transfer object. So I'll try to choose a DTO according to my requirements, sir. Just I'm creating here. I'm not going to be using now. I'll use when I require exactly. Just I'm writing DTO, data transfer object. What is the use of this DTO? I'll talk in the moment. Student repository. Sorry. Student DTO. Right. Now let me try to go to entity class. So what are the information I have it here as it is. Let's try to keep here. Done. Let me remove this. Right. So now let's try to specify at the rate of setter, at the rate of getter, and let's try to have it treat all argument constructor, no argument constructor, like this. Setters and getters, all argument constructor, no argument constructor. So next step, service layer. Now repository layer is completed, guys, as per our discussion. Now let me try to go for service layer. Service. Then here we can try to write student service. Guys, in this interface, yes, we can specify the method interface where I can write a method, business methods. Okay, public student DTO save student. Okay, save student or create a student. You can use any name, no issues. I'm writing like here save student. So student DTO. Right. Now next, save student. Now student get all student information, get all students, fetch student information. You can write any one of these methods, or get all the student or fetch student information, like this, get student information. Now let me try to write here, yes, what are the records we have in the database, all the records we are trying to fetching, the specific student record. Okay, now student DTO, then here you can try to specify get by ID, get student record, get student record, int student ID, or roll number. You can try to use any one of this. Okay, now so using a roll number, yes, we are trying to fetch the specific record information. Okay, student DTO. Otherwise, you can try to give even entity class also. According to requirement, we can try to choose it. So let me try to, okay, let me try to use like this. Now, so public string update student, right? int student id. So using student id, I want to update the records. Student DTO, especially the 4 methods we are implementing in this application, guys. So these are my 5 business methods: save student, get student information, get student record, update student. Right. Even if you want, you can try to delete the record. Okay. We write a delete later point of time. We try to go for to implement delete operation. So let me complete the all these 4 operations, guys. Let me try to go for implementation logic, MPL, student service implementation. Student service. Look at that, please. Student service implementation. Okay, let me try to do one more time. Let me remove this. See, right click on this, a new class. Implementation class name, student service implementation. Browse. Okay. Add student service. Okay, now here, so let me try to use annotation name is called service. What is the annotation we are using, sir? Service. I know I already explained you guys, this is a service layer or business layer, right? Now let me try to provide implementation one by one. Right, good. Now, so first step, so okay, now DTO, guys, observe that DTO. So this DTO capture the data coming from the client, coming from a client, and can we store the data in the database using DTO? No. When you are saving time, it will expect entity class object. What is the predefined method of save method? Let me show you, friends. Paint. Now let's try to perform the step-by-step operation here we are doing now. Right. See now, save. Save is a predefined method. Here you can try to specify entity object. Which object, sir? Entity object. What is the return type? Entity only. This is a predefined method. Okay. Save is a predefined method. When you are trying to using save method, the entity object we are trying to save in the database, right? Okay, nice. Let me try to perform one more operation here now. So save method is available which interface, sir? Repository interface. Let me try to use a repository here. Control C and paste. So private student repo, like this. Now here you can try to use inject the value inside this repo. See guys, student repo object is created, right? The implementation class will be provided by framework. That object I want to see to inject here. When you are injecting, we can use auto void, right? Now auto void, maybe you can try to use auto void or constructor or setter injection. We can perform any one of this operation. We can try to perform it. So let me try to use auto void. Now student report dot save method. Please observe that. Save. So where is entity class object? I don't have any entity class object, right? Now let me try to create one entity class object. New student, like this. Please understand, student, new student. So here DTO having data. The data we have to copy here. So how to do this? Student dot set roll number. So auto incrementation, guys, roll number we are not required to set it. So let me try to go first name, student DTO dot get first name. So we are using setter method to set the values. Set last name, student DTO dot get last name, student dot set address, student DTO dot get address, student dot set email, get email, gender, then student DTO dot get gender, student dot set address. Okay, address is done. Okay, so first name, last name, email, gender, and address. Okay, now let me try to go for mobile number, DTO dot get mobile number. What is the next step, guys, please? Student dot set address, email, first name, gender, last name, mobile number, roll number, right, sir? Now see, guys, DTO, what is the data we are having? The information we are storing in the student entity. Now can I try to save it? 100% we can try to save it. So student, now my entity class having a data now. Yes. So once you save this, control exclamatory symbol, so it will provide a return type of the save method. What is the return type of save method? Entity class. Right. Is it clear? Yes. So this is a way we can try to copy, sir. Let me try to do this. Copy the data from DTO to entity. Guys, DTO object to entity object. Guys, is it clear? Good. Now let's try to go for next step, please. Copy the data from entity object to DTO object. Perfect. So it means that my student DTO, guys. Now let me try to use, so let's see, setter methods I use it, right? Let me try to make a simple, guys. Bean utils dot copy properties. If I'm using copy properties, entity class information, and DTO information, if you're having same, it means that DTO properties, entity class properties, both are same. Yes, we can try to copy using copy properties. Look at now, save ent. Can I say here DTO? Why not, Shiva? That's it. So this is a way we can try to perform the operation, friends. This DTO, just once you, this is a target and source, and is a target, source and target, right? Look at now, because return type is my DTO, sir, because of the reason we are performing these two operations here. Is it clear, everyone? Yes. Now guys, let's try to go for the next step, please. So we can make a simplification also here. We'll do the simplification in the next example. Let me try to continue like this only, right? So get all student information. If you want to fetch the information, student report dot find all. So if I'm using a find all, yes, student records. Let me try to return, guys. That's it. Find all is a predefined method. Using this find all method, we can try to fetch the data from the database. Okay. Now get student record. Look at now, please. let me try to find out the record is exist or not. Let me try to find out the record is exist or not. Report dot find by id, just we are sending id dot get method. If I using get method, look at sir please. Now this is my entity class object, and this object I want to copy in the my DTO. Again, let me try to create object of the DTO. Student DTO, new student DTO. Yes. Can I use bean utils, sir? Bean utils is a one utility class and having one method name is called copy properties. Now is my source and my target. That's it. Now student DTO I can use now to return it, guys. Is it clear? Yes. Now what is the next step? Let's try to perform update operation here. Okay. Now the same method, can I try to use it? Yes, why not? Student, see, find by id like this. Okay. Now once the record is exist, then let's try to do updation, guys. Bean copy properties. Now observe that this DTO, what is the information we are having? The information we are trying to specifying here. Guys, is it clear? Yes. The problem is, sir, when you are updating, the problem is here, student having student ID also it will come in this context, right? But student here, student DTO level ID is null. Okay. So I can do one process, one point here. Okay, student DTO dot set roll number. Get roll number. Perfect. Before copying my data, okay, like this. Perfect. Because otherwise roll number is 0 is replacing existing 1, the problem will come, right? For that reason I'm taking up like this. So again, now happily you can try to 1 minute find by id. Once you're, let me try to save the data in the database. Student repo dot save method. Yes, what I can do that, guys, now here save method student and my entity class student, done, right? Save ent, right? If save entity not equal to null, see just what I'm giving here, just a message record updated successfully. Record updated successfully. Right. Now next. So record is not updated successfully, guys. Else block. What is that? Else block. Record is not updated successfully. 1 minute. So just give like message. So let me try to format this my code. How to format, guys? Control A, Control Shift F. See now somewhere, okay. Now once again Control A, selecting entire my code. After the Control Shift F, formatting. So this is the first step, guys, in the learning. I shown here the step-by-step process. In the next example, we'll look at it. We'll optimize this code, guys. and even we try to implement exception handling and validations also. Let me try to go for next example. Okay, now let me try to do here controller final touch. Controller student controller. Okay, look at now, at the rate of rest controller. Okay, now request mapping is the annotation slash API. Okay, now so from the controller had to from the controller what exactly is doing, capture the data coming from a client, and the data is giving to service layer, right? Now let me try to, where is my implementation class, right? Let's come to here, control C, private student implementation class, friends. Control here, please observe that control auto void. You know that setter injection, constructor injection, even you can try to use auto void. Three different approaches we can try to perform this operation, friends. Okay, let me try to use here now public create user. 1 minute, let me check that. What the return type here? Student DTO is getting. Okay, student DTO create user. Okay, student DTO, right? Control Shift O. Good. Now let me try to use better, sir. I can try to use service implementation IMPL, or I can try to use student IMPL, your wish. Student service implementation dot save student, right? So now let's try to provide return type here. So can I use response entity, guys? Why not? Entity, right? Return new response entity, right? HTTP status dot. Okay, so okay is indicating what? Successor. Okay, creator. Successfully the record is created in the database. I want to return this code sector. Okay, response entity, 1 minute. Right, spelling mistake, no issues. Here you can try to use at the rate of post mapping. What is that? Post mapping. So students, right? So just observe, guys, this is using post mapping we are trying to store the data in the database. Next step, retrieve, fetch all the records from the database, guys. Public list of student, fetch student information, right? Service mpl dot get student information, right? Now let me try to specify here. Please just give me 1 minute. Yeah, return like this. So what is the next step? The specific ID. Now student DTO, get student information, get student info, then teacher roll number. Right, now at the rate of get mapping, at the rate of get mapping. So we can try to use here to fetch the data, guys. Okay, API, just I'm writing students ID. Okay, like this. So can you use, so along with URL, if you pass a value, we can call as a path parameters. So along with URL, if you pass a value, that value we can try to capture using path variable is an annotation. Path variable is an annotation. Right. Service implementation, get student record. Okay, now you can try to pass roll number. So mistake is like this here, sir, semicolon. Right, student record. So as well, let me try to return. Done. Control A, Control Shift F. Let's try to format my code. So look at here now, please. What is the next step? Update. Okay, public string update student information info. Right, so int roll number at the rate of put mapping. So when you are updating, sir, we have to use put mapping. Students, otherwise you can try to pass like this ID. Okay, like this. Students, here we can try to use students. Now get here, let me use get the rate, get mapping, get mapping. Now let me try to use here students, or you can try to use fetch student. You can try to use anything, but this is not a good approach, sir. Let's try to have like this. Okay, now good. So update a student, guys. When I try to perform updating student information along with URL, we have to use path param. Sorry, path variable is annotation. We can try to use it. Path variable is annotation. We can try to use it. As usual, friends, let me try to go for service implementation dot update. Okay, then I can try to pass my roll number, and here I can try to use comma student DTO. Right, so can I use like here now request body. Request body is annotation, can capture the data coming from a client. Okay, now let's look at here. Let's try to pass student DTO. So what is the return type, guys? Control exclamatory symbol, friends. What I'm using here like this. So message you'll get, sir, student record inserted successfully or not, return update a student. Right, Control A, Control Shift F. Look at, friends, this is the way, yes, we can try to perform the operation, friends. Is it clear, everyone? I believe everyone is clear. The step-by-step process we did. So let's try to recollect once again the steps what we did till now. Step 1, create a project, add the dependencies. Step number 2, configuration file. Step number 3, entity class. Step number 4, repository. Step number 5, service interface. Step number 7, implementation class. 8, controller. So if we know these things, sir, yes, we can try to develop end-to-end end-to-end code operations. We can try to perform any project level, sir. Minimum I'm talking about it. So next example, we'll look at it how to perform the validations. Next video, we are going to be introduce the validations and exception handling, and how to use exception handling, and what is the response entity, how to use effectively, and all these things. Moving forward, we are going to be look at it. Let me try to run this application, guys, once, please. Right click on this, run as Spring Boot application. Just wait and few minutes. Observe, guys. Okay. See, beautiful. Start running, guys. Let me check the table is created or not. Refresh here. Yes, the table is created. Look at now, guys. I hope everyone is understand, right? Now let's try to use Postman. I'm using a client in this example. Let me try to use Postman sign in. Why we are using Postman? To test your application, guys. Sign in. Mm, 1 minute. So let me try to show guys once here. Get method. First we'll do post. Okay, right. Let me open my controller. So what is the default port number we use? 8080. Tomcat default port number is 8080. HTTP colon localhost 8080 8080 API slash, now post mapping, right? Control C, body. Here we are using ra. Just give me 1 minute. Yes, open and close. Now you can try to specify here, where is my DTO? Yes, my first name exact. Please try to choose and names what you specified here. First name. What is your first name? Shiva. What is the last name? Last name. Like this. Email. @gmail.com. Email. Mobile number. Control C. Double 9 8 double 9 8 5 123.8462. Address. What is the address? You can try to specify anything is fine, sir. Give a comma in JSON format, JavaScript object notation, gender. So you can try to use male or female, right? Look at now, these are the fields, sir. Right now, observe friends, please. Send it. Okay, now see, successfully created, guys. 201 is coming here. Observe that. Oh, the data is not storing anything in the database. Okay, see, look at now, please. Something is wrong. We'll look at this code. First, let me check what mistake I did. Okay, look at now, sir. Null, null, null. It means that it's not storing a data in the database. Okay, something we did wrong. Let me see here. Okay, first name, last name, email, mobile number, address, gender. This is fine. Let's come to my controller first. Guys, observe friends. Here, the data comes and store it. Why not? What mistake we did? Anyone? Identify, sir. What mistake we did? Anyone? We are sending a data from Postman. This data along with URL, this information is coming to your application. But how you are capturing? What way you are capturing? We are not doing anything here, right? For that, we have to use annotation. What annotation we have to use, sir? Request body is annotation. Request body is annotation having a capability capture the data coming from a client. Request body is annotation having a capability capture the information coming from Postman, maybe client, whatever I say. Now let's look at here, sir. I saved it. Sir, is reloaded or not? Let me check that. Why is not reloaded? So dev tools we added or not, please check that. If I use a development tools, if I do any small changes, the changes will be reflected. Is not reflected mean that, let me check that I am added dev tools or not. Actuators, JPA, web, MySQL connector, Lombok. Oh, dev tool is missing because the reason is not reloaded. Let me try to stop my application. So if you not added the dev tools, then what we have to perform? Let's stop this application. Let me stop this application and add the dev tools. So if you not add the dev tools to your application, every time we have to stop it and we have to run it. So if you have the dev tools, if you do any small changes, the changes will be reflected immediately. Okay, dev tools. Wait. Dev tools. Next. Form.xml file. Finish. Sir, one more time. Right click on this project. Spring. Add starters. Add starters. Here you can add dev tools, Spring Boot dev tools. Guys, is it clear? Look at now. Restart, live reload, right? Now already we did this. Now it's not required. Now let's try to start your application, guys. I click on this. Run as Spring Boot application. Good. Now same data, sir. I want to send it. Perfect. Now observe, guys. Perfectly the data is storing in the database. we are fetching same information is coming back to a client. Is it clear, everyone? Good. Now let me try to check retrieve, sir. As well, let me try to use retrieve. So get mapping, sir, same URL I'm trying to using. Just let me change here, get mapping, sorry, get. These are we can try to call HTTP status methods. Oh, obviously, sir, null first record, second record, observe that. Yes. Is it clear? What is the HTTP status codes? Status codes nothing but 200. If the record is not exist, 404, file not found, right? This is called as a status code. Guys, I think it's clear. It is called status methods, HTTP methods, and this HTTP status code. Very, very important in the interview point of it, guys. Right. So retrieve and specific record, sir. Let me try to fetch the specific record. Nothing. Just you can try to pass the roll number or student ID. You can try to fetch the particular record information. If ID is not exist, it will throw error. It will throw error. Okay. Roll number, just I'm passing here ID as well. So I'm giving 2. The record is exists, no doubt. The specific record will have to fetch it. Oh, error is coming here. It means that something is wrong. Let me check that. 1 minute. API students ID. Okay, but here what we specified, roll number. Here what I given, ID. So path variable is an annotation. It will choose ID. It will take ID, but where you should copy into the roll number. But if a variable names are same, then only it will perform this operation, sir. For example, if you have a different variable names, then what will happen? Then I have to specify here ID. Using this ID, we can get this value. The value it stores in the roll number. Let me try to save it. Let me try to send again one more time request. Yes, response is getting like this. Yes or no? Right. Is it clear? Right. The same way you can try to perform update operation. Look at now, roll number, the ID. Let me try to make a small change here. Right. That's it. Perfectly it will work, sir. Thank you everyone watching for this video.